We have a new rakdos commander, Kellogg Dangerous Mind. So for 1 red, 1 black and 1 colorless mana, a total of 3 mana, you get a legendary creature human mercenary free 2. First strike, haste, so he will attack when he comes into play, and whenever Kellogg Dangerous Mind attacks, create a treasure token. So that's good, treasures are always good. But then he has an activated ability, sacrifice 5 treasure tokens, gain control of target creature for as long as you control Kellogg, activate only as a sorcery. So it's not totally busted. The biggest problem with it is that if you steal someone's creature and they have a spot removal for your creature, they just gain theirs back. So creature spot removal will be flying towards this guy quite frequently, as no one really likes to have their commanders and other creatures stolen from them. And that is bad because that naturally means that this commander is going to pull hate towards it. And you never really want that to happen, you want your other opponents to deal with your other opponents, not deal with you. And in this case you're going to be that very oppressive commander basically. But still it's like having a gilded drake in your command zone actually. Generating treasures isn't even that hard, there's a lot of different tricks in this game that is going to generate treasures. So getting this guy into play, getting 5 treasures, and then preferably also get some protection for him, and then start interacting with your opponents, stealing their creatures, that's something that is going to be achievable. You're going to have a very consistent game going into matches, being able to do that. The problem in this format is that a lot of commander decks these days, in the top tier section, aren't that dependent on their commander. They can win pretty much without it completely. But some can't, and that's where this guy is great. Going back to what we talked about previously, if you're stealing someone's commander, that person is going to try to interact with you. However, the other guys that don't care about this, that aren't commander centric, they will pretty much let you take whatever commander you're stealing from someone else, because now you have interacted with them. The problem then is that you have to be able to deal with the non-commander centric decks in some other form, and that is basically where you go rakdos stacks, I guess, if you're taking this as the commander choice. And there's a lot of different rakdos variant stacks cards that you could definitely play, that are actually working out pretty good against various different storm decks out there. So if we summarize everything so far, we need to basically build a deck that is rakdos, able to get this guy into play quite efficiently. He's 3 mana with haste, so that's gonna go pretty fast. And then we need treasure value engines, there's a bunch of those, so that's gonna be achieved pretty easily. And then we're gonna preferably need some protection for this guy, like lightning greaves and such. Deflecting SWAT is gonna be very important for this commander, as you need to send spot removals elsewhere away from him. But also you could basically play a bunch of various sacrifice effects, so if he is going to be removed and everyone is going to regain their creatures, you can sacrifice the creatures and yeah, then they don't get them back. And then the final thing you're going to need are stacks, cards or interaction that is going to deal with other commander decks that don't care if you're stealing their creatures. Also, you can't steal in instant speed here, so you're gonna have to have some really good interaction in general, and sometimes even rely on your other opponents to be able to deal with your other opponents as well. But overall, you should be able to create a pretty good game plan where you're sitting and stealing your opponent's creatures and smashing them and basically killing them the normal way. But there is one combo we could definitely have inside this deck that is very in theme with what we are doing. Revel the Riches. A black enchantment that is going to create treasure tokens, that is perfect, that is kinda on point with what we want to do. But then if you have enough treasures, you could actually win the game if you actually reach the critical mass. So this card will both work with a core game plan of what this commander is trying to do, but also be an optional win con if you need something of that sort. If you don't have creatures to steal, then you could use it to win the game instead, I guess. It should also be pointed out that treasures is something that is very common inside this format more and more. Wizards of the Coast are probably gonna print more cards and probably power creep them a tiny bit, that is going to be better treasure generating value engines. So over time I definitely think that this commander is going to grow in power level. as there's definitely going to be a lot of power creep potential for this guy. As a finalized review, however, I think he's going to struggle a tiny bit. It might be a little bit slow, there's a lot of setup demands, and the biggest problem of all is that once he is removed, everyone gets their creatures back, and it's in sorcery speed, and you're not gonna be able to interact properly versus the non-commander-centric decks, and Rakdos is currently also struggling. But in budget cEDH and in high power level settings, he should be definitely amazing. In the end, I really like Control Rakdos, so I definitely might give this commander a shot. That's it for this time, thank you so much for watching. Lots of different commanders have been spoiled, so more card reviews are coming up. Until then, take care guys, and thank you so much for watching.